It's the most entertaining sport in the world. I'm not surprised. Let's get right into it. I really hope I don't regret this decision. Frankie Edgar, unanimous decision with superior wrestling and the ability to just cut off angles and strike effectively. If he can avoid the big shots and the flying knees and the aggressive attacks that Yair is going to put in front of him, I think that Frankie Edgar is going to get out of this one up. And whoever wins the interim belt between Max Holloway and Jose Aldo, look for Frankie Edgar to maybe have a trilogy fight with Aldo, which I don't think is going to happen because I think Holloway is going to actually take Aldo to the mat and put him down. I think we're going to see Frankie Edgar fight Max Holloway for the 145-pound strap.
Okay. I think that Yair Rodriguez is going to win. I think that he is going to be looking to block him on the wrestling. I think he's going to be able to move off. I don't think he's going to... We saw that a lot with like the Jacare fight. An effective striker.
Frankie Edgar's a different animal when it comes to wrestling than Jacare is. Jacare is a world-class jiu-jitsu competitor. Frankie Edgar took down Sean Shirk, Gray Maynard, Benson Henderson.
Okay.
Frankie Edgar is wrestling for MMA next to a George St. Pierre. Frankie Edgar's got to be in the top 5 of all time. What Frankie Edgar's going to bring to the table. He's Eddie Alvarez version 2.0. He's from a tough neighborhood. He's gritty. He's blue collar. He's as tough as they come. He's humble. He's easy to root for. Great jiu-jitsu. So this is where it's going to get fun, fight fans. We have Frankie Edgar versus Yair Rodriguez. I never thought that I'd see the day where I was referring to Frankie Edgar as a member of the old guard of mixed martial arts. And he is indeed. He's entertained us for... Because I'm getting old. You know, he was the young guy. When he beat BJ Penn, he took the MMA world by storm. They gave BJ Penn an immediate rematch. Frank Edgar dismantled him. He gave us some of the greatest fights in the world against Gray Maynard.
Even in the break I took from, like, you know, watching him beat an MMA, I knew who Frankie Edgar was. Like, people that didn't watch MMA knew who Frankie Edgar was.
Right. Let's take a look at this. Ring of Combat in Jersey has produced some of the best guys in the world. He fought Jim Miller, Tyson Griffin. Mark Bocek was a phenomenal wrestler. He's a guy out of Canada. Go back to that real quick. Gray Maynard was the first loss. Hermes Franca, he was a guy that was supposed to be something. Sean Shirk, the muscle shark.
Sean the Shark Shirk.
He never took steroids.
No.
And then BJ Penn.
I remember Sean Shirk.
I remember that. That was back in 2010 when he beat him. He brought a cardio pace that the lightweight division hadn't seen. He beat him again. They had no one to throw him up against Gray Maynard, so they put him in there. That was a draw. It was a phenomenal fight. And then he came back and knocked Gray Maynard out the next fight. He had 2 back-to-back fights against Ben Henderson, Ben Smooth, who's over in Bellator now. I had Frankie winning at least one of those fights. Either one could have gone either way. But here's the thing. He lost 3 in a row to Benson Henderson, and Jose Aldo. All 3 of those could have gone either way. He's never lost a fight. He's been beat on the scorecard. Frankie Edgar has never been out of a fight in his life, very much like a Uriah Faber. And those 2 guys actually fought, which was awesome to watch. When he dropped down to 145, he beat Charles Dubronx Oliveira, who is a very, very scary jiu-jitsu practitioner. We actually watched him win by submission not too long ago.
Yes, we did.
He beat BJ Penn in that trilogy fight, which I didn't really get. It didn't make sense. It was on The Ultimate Fighter. He beat Cub Swanson by dominant wrestling. He held him down, and was that like the last minute of the 3rd round or something like that?
Yeah, 5th round,
last of the 5th
God
round.
Damn.
I remember he fought for it. He had a neck crank. Oh, yeah, right. Never mind. I was looking for the submission type. It was a neck crank. Then he bought Uriah Faber, like I just mentioned. That was a good fight. He won 50-45 unanimous on that card, but Faber fought tough. It was a good fight. When he beat Chad Mendez, he sat down when Chad came in and just put one on his chin and decimated him. You know, put him to the ground. Jeez. And Chad Mendez was a scary guy at that point. Then he fought Jose Aldo again. And I had a tough time with that fight because Jose didn't throw a ton of kicks, and Edgar loves to shoot for takedowns in transition when he catches kicks. And then Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens, who's got knockout power in both hands. Frankie Edgar was able to take away the unanimous decision. You know, Jeremy Stevens has been a guy knocking on the door for a championship opportunity. Whew. Go to Yair. So, he beat Alex Caceres.
He did.
Andre Touchy Feely, and BJ Penn. Yair Rodriguez, this is not his fault, but I have yet to see him do what he does against top-level competition. He's looked absolutely amazing. He looks athletic. He flies through the air with the greatest of ease.
But none of the guys he's beaten so
that's
far.
Not his fault. That's not his fault. And I thought that the BJ Penn fight was a tough one for. That was a lose-lose. If he beats up BJ Penn, he beats up a legend of the sport. He beats up Uncle BJ. If he loses,
BJ.
Yeah, BJ Penn. Everybody fucking loves BJ Penn.
Dude.
Jesus Christ. When he fought Cal Luno, BJ Penn's been doing it for like 87 years.
Everybody knows who BJ Penn is. Anybody knows who
BJPenn.com. Woo!
BJ Penn, GSP.
All right, so
Legends of the sport.
I'm going to say this. I think that Yair is going to feel the pressure this time. I think that Frankie Edgar's been in there with the best of the best. He knows what's going to come at him. He's got an iron chin. He's as game as they come. And he's a guy that's able to do a lot in transition. I'm probably going with my heart on this because I do own a place on the Jersey Shore. That is where my roots are. Yair Rodriguez, if what I've seen against lesser competition is anything to prove, I think that he's going to be the future of this division at 145 pounds. I think that Conor's probably happy that he moved up to 145. And I think if there's anyone that's going to be able to dismantle the hype train that is Yair Rodriguez, it's going to be Frankie Edgar. It's a big jump going from BJ Penn to Frankie Edgar.
So it'd be safe to say that maybe like Frankie Edgar is the gatekeeper for Yair.
I would never refer to Frankie Edgar as a gatekeeper because I think he's one of the greatest fighters.
What's a gatekeeper then? Like a
Yushin
gauge?
Okami, a Tim Bosch.
Tim Bosch.
At this point, a Lyoto Machida and a Shogun, Maurizio Hua.
Okay.
At heavyweight, it was Frank Mir for a little bit and a Roy Nelson. You know those guys who put on entertaining fights, but you know that they're never going to sniff a title shot ever again? Right. I mean, I hope Roy Nelson does. I like a lot of those guys I just talked about.
Okay. All right, well, I'm pretty sure you want to move
I can't believe that fight's on before Damian Maia and Jorge Masvidal.
Really? I think it's because of Yair. Just because Yair's in it.
I think that most MMA fans would know who Yair is more than Jorge Masvidal, and I love Jorge Masvidal.